Hello everyone. In this today's session, in this video tutorial, we are going to solve some numericals based on design of helical compression springs. Basically, design of helical springs using trials by the trial and error method. The relevant CO for today's discussion is CO number 6, wherein after studying this unit, students will be able to design helical and lip springs used in walls and automobiles. We know that springs are elastic members which work on principle of getting deflected upon application of the load, and deflection is relieved when the load is removed. So springs are meant for either sustain the load at that time, while sustaining the load they get deflected, or springs are meant for exerting the force by deflecting them. When we deflect the springs, they start exerting the force. Once the deflection is removed, the the springs regain their original size and shape. So they work on the principle of deflection. Either deflection is produced so that spring will start exerting force, or otherwise springs are subjected to load. At that time they will undergo deflection. On the removal of the force, they will regain their original size and shape. Basically, three different types of the springs are extensively used in mechanical applications. Of that, the first type, compression springs, helical compression springs or helical tension springs, they are belonging to same family of the helical springs. This is the most extensively used type of the springs. Then torsional springs, basically generally used in watches or toys, and lip springs, sometimes also called as laminated springs. Those lip springs are used in automobiles, heavy duty automobiles. For the springs, its wire diameter is, of course, helical compression spring. Its wire diameter is denoted by small d. Distance, axial distance between similar points on consecutive turns is called as pitch, denoted by P. Outside diameter, major diameter of the spring, outside diameter DO. Inside diameter of the coil DI. Their average DI plus DO upon 2, that is the mean coil diameter, capital D. Mean coil diameter divided by wire diameter, small d, that indicates spring index, that the constant is called as index. We are familiar with spring stiffness, which is also sometimes called as spring rate or spring constant or spring gradient, that is given by force required to produce unit deflection. F, the force, divided by delta, the deflection. F upon delta is the spring stiffness. We are familiar with this, but it is another constant. Do not get confused between these two. Spring stiffness is another thing, and spring stiffness K is another thing, and spring index C is another thing. Spring index C is given by capital D, coil diameter, divided by wire diameter, small d, whereas K is given by F upon delta. Now we know that whenever we are not aware regarding spring index, we need to conduct three trials. Trial number one, while designing the spring, that means while finding out the wire diameter for the spring, based upon which rest of the parameters of the spring will be decided. So here, if we are not knowing the value of spring index C at that time, for finding out wire diameter D, we need to conduct three of the trials. Trial number one, by assuming value of Kw is equal to 1. As C is not known, therefore Kw is not known. We are not in position to calculate Kw. Therefore, we have to assume Kw is equal to 1. And assuming this, we need to calculate D, small d, wire diameter, and based on that, some value of spring index, capital D upon small d. That spring index is called as judgment value of spring index C. Then we have to proceed to trial number 2. Here we have to use judgment value of spring index C, which we have calculated during trial number 1. That is used to calculate Kw, judgment value of wall factor Kw, and using that we need to calculate wire diameter D. Now this wire diameter small d calculated during trial number 2, it is required to be checked whether it is safe or not, whether it is acceptable or not. For that we have to conduct trial number 3, wherein we calculate induced maximum shear stress inside the spring wire, and we check whether it is lesser than permissible shear stress for the spring wire material. If it happens so, then we declare trial number 3 as successful, and the wire diameter which we had calculated during trial number 2 to be safe and acceptable, and rest of the design will be based on that value of D. If trial number 3 fails, that means tau max is not smaller than tau permissible, then we have to modify wire diameter to next standard value, and again we have to conduct trial number 4 for checking the safety of next standard value of wire diameter D, whether it is safe or not, by again calculating induced maximum stress and checking whether it is lesser than permissible. And we have to go on conducting trials until unless we get this condition satisfied, that is tau max becomes smaller than tau permissible. That's why this method of designing the spring is called as method of trials. Here, wire diameter is calculated by conducting trials. At least 3 number of trials are required to be conducted. So here I have summarized the procedure. During trial number 1, assuming Kw is equal to 1, we have to calculate judgment value of spring index C. During trial number 2, using that judgment value of C, we have to calculate judgment value of Kw and wire diameter D. During trial number 3, we have to check whether wire diameter D, which was found during trial number 2, is safe or not. So for calculating spring wire, assuming Kw1 during trial number 1, we have to equate induced maximum stress with permissible, while equating Kw is assumed to be equal to 1. Therefore, 8 times F max D upon pi d cube is to be equated with tau permissible. Maximum force to which the spring is subjected will be known to us. Coil diameter will also be known to us. Only unknown will be small d, the wire diameter. Therefore, during trial number 1, wire diameter D will be calculated. This wire diameter D and capital D, that is the coil diameter. Coil diameter divided by wire diameter will indicate spring index C, which is called as judgment value of spring index C. Using that judgment value of spring index C in the formula of Kw, in this formula, this C is judgment value of C. Using that, we shall be calculating judgment value of Kw. Now using this judgment value of Kw and equating tau induced with tau permissible, again value of D will be calculated. This is the wire diameter calculated during trial number 2, which is checked during trial number 3. Now using that wire diameter D, which was found in trial number 2, new value of C is calculated as D upon D. Using that new value of C, new value of Kw will be calculated and tau max will be calculated. Now here we have to check whether this tau max is smaller than tau permissible. If it happens so, then we declare that trial number 3 is successful and wire diameter D, which was found during trial number 2, is safe and acceptable. Rest of the design will be based on this value of wire diameter D. Now here let us solve one numerical. A railway wagon moving at a velocity of 1.5 meters per second is brought to rest by a bumper consisting two helical springs arranged in parallel combination. The mass of wagon is 1500 kg. The springs are compressed by 150 millimeter while bringing the wagon to rest. The spring index is specified as 6. Springs are made up of steel wires having SUT value of 1250 Newton per millimeter square. Modulus of rigidity is 81370 Newton per millimeter square. Permissible shear stress tau permissible is assumed as 50% of SUT value. So this is the specification for this problem statement. Based on this, let us enlist the given data. Spring index is being specified as 6, SYT as 1250 Newton per millimeter square, G is 81370 Newton per millimeter square. Tau permissible is half of the SUT. By mistake, I have written SYT, it should be SUT. Delta max maximum deflection of each of the individual spring is 150 millimeters. Here, spring index is being specified, therefore no need to conduct the trials. Directly we can solve this numerical. But problem is that here F max, maximum force as experienced by each of the spring is not been specified. So, for calculating maximum force to which each of the spring is subjected, we have to proceed by balancing the energy of the wagon and energy of the spring. The wagon is moving with certain speed, certain velocity, so it is having some kinetic energy content inside it. That kinetic energy will get converted to potential energy of the spring while the springs are getting compressed and while this wagon is brought to rest. While wagon is brought to rest, its kinetic energy get converted to potential energy of the springs. Kinetic energy of the wagon is given by 1 half mv square, whereas potential energy of the spring is given as 1 half F max delta max. In this particular case, two of the springs in parallel are used. Therefore, total kinetic energy of the wagon is equal to 2 times, because two springs are used, 2 times energy stored inside one spring. That is given by 1 half F max maximum force to which each individual spring is subjected, and delta max is the maximum deflection which is undergone by each individual spring. So 1 half mv square is equated with 2 times 1 half f max delta max, while equating f max is the only unknown and that will be found out. Here one point to be noted, please note that up till now, whenever we are using units for linear dimensions, always we have used those units in terms of millimeter. But here, while performing the energy balance, while equating energies, here we are equating kinetic energy of the wagon with the potential energy of the springs. While equating, we have to use the linear dimension in terms of meter, because force in terms of Newton and linear dimension in terms of meter. Newton meter is the joule, which is the unit for energy. Here we are equating the energies. Here energy balance is made. For such kind of numericals, always we need to use linear dimensions in terms of meter. So here velocity is to be used in terms of meter per second, and delta max, that is the deflection, is also to be used in terms of meters. Deflection will be 0.15 meter. 150 millimeters means 0.15 meter. So here, while equating kinetic energy of the wagon with the potential energy of the spring using the linear dimension in terms of meters, ultimately we can arrive at the maximum force, which will be of 11250 Newton value. Now all the terms are being specified, and that's why we are in position to easily solve this numerical. In this case, spring index is being specified, therefore no need to conduct the trials. Directly wire diameter will be calculated by equating maximum induced stress with permissible stress value. Now here another numerical number 5. wherein an elevator is specified, it experiences failure fall from 10 floor, that is from 50 meters height. An elevator falls from 50-meter height, and when it reached to the ground floor, it is stopped by 20 springs in parallel. And while stopping it, those springs undergo 250 millimeter deflection. They have specified mass of the elevator and rest of the things. Now here, for this numerical also, all the terms, all the parameters were specified except for the F max. So how to calculate F max, that we are going to discuss in this numerical. So here, except for F max, all other terms are been specified. So for calculating F max, again we need to equate energy of the falling elevator and energy absorbed by the springs that absorb energy of the falling elevator while falling, while it is at certain height, it is having some potential energy which will get converted to kinetic energy while falling, and that kinetic energy or that potential initial potential energy of the elevator will be absorbed by the springs. So by absorbing that, spring will experience the deflection. While getting deflected, they will absorb the energy of the elevator. So what is the energy content inside the elevator? That is the kinetic energy, but ultimately it is the potential energy when it is at certain height. So weight multiplied by height, that experiences, that gives you potential energy of an object. Elevator is at a height of 50 meters and it is having weight of mass multiplied by gravitational acceleration g. Mg is the weight of the elevator multiplied by height, that is the potential energy which will get converted to kinetic energy and afterwards energy absorbed by the springs. So weight multiplied by height is the energy content inside the falling elevator that will be absorbed by 20 number of springs by getting deflected. So each individual spring will absorb energy equal to 1 half F max delta max. Such 20 number of springs will unitedly absorb total energy of the elevator. Now here weight of the elevator is mg. Please note that height through which it falls, that will be equal to 50 meters plus this delta max, that is the springs deflection, springs compression, the compression of the spring, compression as experienced by the spring. This summation makes it the total height through which this elevator has been poured down. So total height through which elevator falls will be given by 50 meters plus this deflection. Now here also, whenever, please mind that whenever we balance energy, we equate energy, always we are using all the linear dimension in terms of meters. So deflection is 250 millimeter, that means 0.25 meters. 50 plus 0.25, that is 50.25 meter is the total height through which elevator drops. So m 500 kg is the mass, 9.81 is the gravitational acceleration. So this product is the weight of the elevator multiplied by 50.25 is the total height through which it falls. That energy is absorbed by 20 number of springs by getting deflected through 0.25 meters, and so at that time they will experience force of F max. So here while equating, F max is the only unknown, and that happens to be equal to 98590, which will be calculated easily and used for further analysis. So Rest of the numericals here I have not solved, because in this numerical, except for f max, all other terms like c and capital D etc were specified. Therefore it was a bit easy to design the springs as value of C was specified. Just unknown was Fmax, and how to find out Fmax, that was the question. So here I have explained for such kind of numericals how to find out Fmax. Now the sixth numerical, here a spring is having plain ends. That means all the turns are active turns. Nt is equal to n. It is having stiffness of K, and the spring is having 15 number of turns. It was cut into two pieces. Piece number 1 is having 5 turns, and obviously piece number 2 will have 10 turns. We need to find out resultant stiffnesses, that is stiffness for piece number 1 K1 and stiffness of the piece number 2 K2. Now original spring is having stiffness of K, which is given by GD upon 8C cube N. Now here G is the modulus of rigidity, which will remain same for the original spring as well as pieces of the spring. Wire diameter will be same for the original spring as well as pieces of the spring. Spring index C will be same for the original as well as pieces of the spring. So GD upon 8C cube will be, it will remain one and the same. Let us denote it by x. So k is equal to gd upon 8c cube, that is denoted by x divided by n, x divided by n. But original spring is having number of turns is equal to 15. So k is equal to x upon 15, x upon n, n is equal to 15. So x upon 15, k is equal to x upon 15. Therefore x is equal to 15 times k, x is equal to 15 times k. Now the spring is cut into two pieces. Piece number 1 is having number of turns is equal to 5. Let us denote that number of turns as equal to n1. So k1 is equal to gd upon 8c cube n1. Gd upon 8c cube is x. So k1 is equal to x upon n1. But n1 is equal to 5. So x upon 5. Now, in the previous case, we have found out x is equal to 15k. So, k1 is equal to x upon 5. X is equal to 15k. So, 15k upon 5. So, k1 is equal to 3 times k. The piece number 1 will have thrice the stiffness as that of original spring. For piece number 2, k2 will be equal to gd upon 8c cube n2. But gd upon 8c cube is equal to x. Therefore, K2 is equal to x upon N2, x upon N2. N2 is equal to 10, that means x upon 10. K2 is equal to x upon 10. But x is equal to 15 times K. X is equal to 15 times K. Therefore, K2 is equal to x upon 10 or 15K upon 10. So, K1 is equal to 1.5 times K. Sorry, here K2. By mistake, I have written K1. It should be K2. K2 is equal to 1.5 times K. So the piece number 2 will have stiffness 1.5 times the stiffness of the original spring. That means if we reduce the number of turns, the stiffness increases. See here, originally the stiffness of the spring was 15k. Sorry, it was 15. Originally stiffness was k when the number of turns were 15. If number of turns reduced to 5, at that time stiffness increased to 3 times k. Number of turns reduced to 10, at that time stiffness increased from k to 1.5 times k. As the number of turns reduces, the stiffness increases. That is proved in this numerical. So that's all in this PPT. Here in this, during this PPT, we have discussed three of the numericals, and we have studied what is the terminology of the mechanical compression spring, different constants in concern with the mechanical compression spring, different stresses develop in mechanical compression springs, different stress correction factors, that is Ks, Kw, etc. how to design a mechanical helical compression spring. So that's all in this PPT, in this session, in this video tutorial. Thank you.